Let's talk a little bit about data loss and data leak today, why they're different and why they're both a problem in terms of data security, such as for your crypto keys. Data loss happens when you lose access to data that you should have access to. For example, you lose your wallet file, like a hard drive crash with your wallet keys, a hard drive trash, like the poor sod who threw away a hard drive with 5,000 Bitcoin on it. The Polish exchange, I think was called Bitomat, that happened to reformat a drive with 17,000 Bitcoin on it. The recent case with Quadriga, which seems to be a developing story, but the original story was still that, yeah, the founder died and the keys were lost. Data loss. Data leak, in contrast, means that other people gain access to data, crypto keys, they shouldn't have access to. There are plenty of examples like this in the crypto world as well, the most famous obviously being empty Gox, but there's also Shapeshift, which was hacked from an inside job where there was data leaked. And the 2 points to remember here is that in both events of a data loss or a data leak, the end result is the same, that the money is gone. And the problem with this is that in order to prevent a data leak, you're taking measures that increase the risk of a data loss. If you want to minimize the risk of a data loss, you take measures that increase the risk of a data leak. For example, if you want to minimize data loss, then you're taking backups and putting those backups out, which increases the risk that one of these backups is going to leak. If you want to minimize the risk of a data leak, then you have only one little archive locked down, buried in concrete 30 meters below ground. But you might lose that data because the USB stick didn't work when you chopped it out of concrete. This is obviously exaggerating a bit, but the principle stands that this is a really hard problem because usually you can determine that a data leak is more harmful or a data loss is more harmful. With crypto, the result in both cases is the same kind of disaster. There is some mitigation to this. For example, you can have a hardware wallet which lifts your keys off of the online computer, so you're reducing the risk of a leak because your online computer cannot get hacked. But the hardware wallet can break just like a USB stick can, so you can still suffer data loss. So you write down or print out the public key and you keep it on a piece of paper like this one, which then can be found by authorities in your bank vault or recovered by somebody else, in which case you have a data leak instead. This is a real problem. One solution to it that I want to bring up is something called Shamir's secret sharing. I first saw it in Armory, which had a completely defective implementation of it, unfortunately, but this was later fixed. It means that you're dividing the key into pieces and that X pieces out of Y pieces in total reconstructs the entire key. Importantly, having less than the prerequisite X pieces takes you no closer to the key than having no pieces at all. And in order to understand how this works, let's imagine that the key is a line, a random line on a sheet of paper. And to illustrate Shamir's secret sharing, we're making a 2 out of 2 key here, as in there are 2 pieces of the key and both will be needed to reconstruct the key. This is the key space. Somewhere here is a line. That line is our key. There's an infinite number of possible lines here. Our key consists of two pieces. There are two dots in this key space. The line through both of those dots is our key. So if one person has one dot, that still means that there's an infinite number of possible keys that go through this dot. That doesn't bring them any closer to having no key, no parts of the puzzle. But once you have two pieces of the puzzle, in this 2 out of 2 key, then you can reconstruct the line that is our key. Note here that it's possible to add more dots on this line and hand them out as pieces of the puzzle. By just putting more dots on this line, we've now created a 2 out of 4 key. We can hand these dots out to different people, and any 2 of them will be sufficient to recreate this line that is our key. So that's easy then. A line, that's 2 dots. That's easy to get. What if we want more? If we want a more complex key? What if we want to require 3 pieces? What if we want a 3 out of 3 key? Well, same thing. We have key space, but in this case we draw a circle. We're starting out with 1 dot. There's an infinite amount of circles that can go through this dot. 2 dots. There's still an infinite amount of circles that can go through both of these dots. They arc between these dots, but the radius is completely unknown. So there's an infinite amount possible. Only when we have 3 dots is the circle unambiguously defined. So it's only when you have the 3 pieces of the puzzle that you're any closer to the solution than having no pieces at all. And just like before, if we want there to be 4 pieces where 3 is enough, then you can add more dots as you go. In this case, we've created a 3 out of 5 key. We have 5 dots on the circle, that is our key. Any 3 dots, any 3, will be sufficient to recreate the key that is our circle. Having 2, any 2, is as worthless as having 0, and so on for higher key requirements. The important part here is that just giving away one piece of the puzzle doesn't leak any information about the other keys. A lot of these hardware wallets have seed words, 12 seed words that you write down. Some people have come up with schemes that to divide these seed words so that 2 out of 3 pieces of the words are sufficient to reconstruct the entire key. For example, you can have 3 pieces with 8 different words out of the 12 on them, and any 2 will be enough to reconstruct the entire set of 12 words. But if you have 8 out of the 12 words, that takes you significantly closer to finding out the remaining 4. This system doesn't do that. So how do you prevent data leak and data loss? Well, this is a hard problem. But first, understanding that there is a problem, understanding the nature of it, and last but not least, seeing something that at least approaches to be a solution, like Shamir's secret sharing, is at least a step in the right direction.